So when you were in OA, you started in OA, you had a eating disorder? Or?
Yeah, I don't know, I never called it a disorder. I have certainly had very little control when it came to food. And that's called being Jewish.
And
I guess I'm a Jew's in the studio. And,
Judah.
I say it's sort of okay.
Andrew, are you?
No, but my mother
everybody thinks I'm Jewish.
I don't know.
But my wife's Jewish.
But my mother thinks he is.
So he's half?
You know what? My great-great-grandfather supposedly was possibly Jewish, which makes me not Jewish. But
no, it was your mother's grandfather.
It was my father's. But the way I see it is, there's really only one man standing between me and being Jewish or Christian. So,
I don't get that.
Jesus. That's the only difference, right? And he was Jewish, so.
It's people only. You never.
Here we go.
I'm not practicing.
What did we start?
I'm so glad I drove down.
And the number here is 877-830-830. This number here is 877-830-830. We're joined in the studio by comedian Steve Mittleman.
Hi. And, well, actually, I would say I was not a normie when it came to food, put it that way.
All right. So you just ate a lot, or
I ate a lot.
eating?
I ate to soothe my feelings. I ate to use food,
right.
I'm sure. My big issue with OA, I think it's a wonderful thing support-wise, but I think it feeds into, no pun intended, or pun intended, it feeds into the neurosis around food. Food is simply... It's not a black and white drug. It's not like alcohol. It's not like sexual addiction. It's not like gambling. There's nothing black and white about it. But people put it into this black and white corner. They think it's like, I'm on the wagon. I'm on this diet. I fell off. No, you're just an accumulation of your choices. That's all you are. That's all. If you look at what makes up somebody's size or their health, it's really an accumulation of your choices, and that's all it is. And all I am is what was my last choice, what's my next choice, what's down the line, what is in the house, where am I going, what am I eating. That's what we are. We're not on a diet. There's no such thing as a diet. It's a remarkably brilliant industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and they know that as long as we think of it in terms of black and white and being on their fix for us, that they're going to make money off of us.
It's interesting because, OA is considered one of the 12-step sort of programs, and obviously related to addiction, and there are food addictions. I don't know if they've really fully been classified. I guess there's
binge eating is a legit disorder. I mean,
certainly anorexia, binge eating, bulimia.
Yeah,
right.
But I mean, in regards to addiction.
Right.
I've seen more in OA, my 14 years of OA. I saw more recovery in bulimia than anything else.
Thank God, right?
Yeah. See, it has to be a beautiful gray world.
Right.
If you think in terms of black and white, and, my sister, who I love dearly, but she says, I was bad today. I was good today. And she beats herself up for it, and then you've got two problems: your choice, and then what you do with yourself after you've made an unhealthy choice, and it's not working. It's not working for our world. And what happens, in my belief, is people think of themselves on a wagon called a diet. They sort of, even with the 12 steps, white knuckle being on that. They call it abstinence in OA. And it's like, I'm not going to have any white sugar. I'm not going to have any processed flour. That's like a basic thing for a lot of people. And then all of a sudden they go, oh, I had a frozen yogurt, and they didn't say there was sugar in there. And oh my God. And then I had too much dressing and this flour and I know there was sugar in there. And then they go, oh, what the hell? I'm throwing in all the cards and I'm going to eat dessert. And that's the American mentality. It's probably worldwide, but I live here.
But I think it's harder because, like you were talking about with the other 12-step groups, and I think, and I always thank God, when I wake up every day, I think, that's not true, but I thank God a lot that I don't have two addictions, and one is sex and one is food, because those two things you need to live.
Yeah, they're normal.
You know, you don't
So
need.
how's that working for you, Judy?
It's working great, but you don't need
You have a
alcohol.
girlfriend,
I do have a
You
girlfriend.
do? Seriously?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's a real girlfriend.
I've never met
Not
her.
an
She
invisible-
waved at you. She came to your treatment center to look at the. No.
You don't need to blow up your girlfriend.
And
It's
Rand
not-
met
it's
her.
not invisible.
Can you have a platonic meal?
Yeah. Right, you can't.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You
Called a hungry man.
But that's how you know you have food issues. By the way, if you're getting those frozen meals at sections, okay, as you know, or your hot pockets. But it's a lot harder having. I think it's a lot harder
Where did
having.
you come up? I just have to ask. I mean, since we have a few minutes on the radio, where did you come up with Hot Pockets?
I was in the
what
supermarket. I was in Target yesterday with my so-called girlfriend,
Right.
And I saw, and we were as we were
The
walking,
mythical girlfriend.
as we were walking through the frozen food section.
What's
I
his
said,
name?
I said, who eats Hot Pockets? I said,
Right.
you know,
Who's
who,
the comedian that has that great joke? He's like,
Not
Hot
me.
Pockets or pastries surrounding rancid meat.
I don't know.
Oh gosh, what's that?
Yeah, I know who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
it's really funny. It's this whole thing about Hot Pockets.
But I
Yeah,
think,
well,
but anyways, getting back to it, I think it's, you know,
Just let him say what he got.
to a more
Yeah, right?
serious side, I think you struggle with a harder thing than somebody with alcoholism or drugs because you can't get rid of food. You have to eat.
you gotta eat.
Yeah, but you have to love yourself through. I think it's a lesson of learning how to love yourself. Basically, that's really the bottom line. And that even when we think we're eating healthy, we're not eating that healthy. That's another part of it. Grains are addictive more than we realize. The gluten leveling grains are really bad. They're not really made for us. You want to cut out half the weight issues in the country, you cut out grains, or most of them, aside from some potatoes and brown rice and maybe quinoa.
See now, I
See,
get.
that's
I get
the
I
opposite.
get-
That's the other end
My
of the
wife is
extreme.
very skinny.
It's
She's
not an
Jewish.
extreme, though.
Okay.
My wife's very skinny. She's
Your
Jewish.
wife's pretty lean.
She's
Yeah.
she's really
I
lean.
saw her the
Yeah.
other
She
day.
is.
She's in shape.
You guys are sort of
She's-
like Laurel and Harvey.
No, she's not.
I gave you that assist. You better.
Right? No.
I,
She
that
is.
was a layup for you.
Yeah, it was.
She's
That was
also
easy.
she's also on stage, which I don't have to be, but you know, she eats like what, you know, her family eats, which is like she picks at everything. It's like she likes vegetables, you know. I mean, I'm Scottish. I grew up eating steak and carbohydrates. I mean, like, and you know,
You grew up eating Heart Attack.
but not really. All my relatives ate that all their lives, and they all lived into their 90s. So, you know,
I think that's the exception, though. Truly.
well, I'll take it.
Yeah. I don't think we're made that way. Our bodies. It's not. I don't think that's species specific.
Yeah, I mean, for
us.
1.72 million years, though, human beings were on this earth, and they weren't eating, you know,
But to
complex
his
carbohydrates.
argument, then he could say, you know, well, they weren't putting steroids into the food. They weren't.
Oh, we're loaded.
you
with
know, they
stuff.
weren't.
What have you guys read David Kessler's book, The End
No.
of The End of Overeating? Amazing book. If you're
I've heard
interested,
of it,
if you're
huh?
interested in OA, if you're interested in eating disorders, if you're interested in consumption, food consumption in regards to consumerism, it is a fantastic book.
Give us a little synopsis.
Well, it just up until about the 1980s, we didn't have near the problems with being overweight or obesity that we do now. And so he goes chronologically through all these things that have happened, you know, before that time and since that time, not just in regards to the neurobiology of eating, not just, you know, based on just actual food products, but based on consumerism.
Right.
And historically, you know, food portion has been a big thing. Exactly what you were talking about, the kinds of things that we're eating, and then our mental connection to eating and food, salt, and sugar, the way that all three of those things activate our dopaminergic transmission pathway.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the companies that make these products know how to light up our
Well, they've
brains
gotten better at it.
to
Absolutely.
make us want it more.
Excitotoxins.
Well, for years,
Yeah.
ketchup was really the best food in the world.
What?
Right?
Yeah.
Ketchup. Ketchup is like the perfect food.
Isn't it pronounced ketchup?
Ketchup.
Ketchup.
Not ketchup.
Well, that's
It's
the
ketchup.
58 variety. I'm a comedian. I can't help it. So,
Yeah, he was like saying ketchup.
ketchup.
Ketchup. What's ketchup?
It's like
It's actually from catsia.
What are you, a gypsy? Learn how to
which-
say
wait,
it. You're an
which was
American
a- which
now.
was a-
Listen, I'd be embarrassed if I were Judah. Judah just corrected you.
Yeah, I know.
That's the
I know.
first.
and
I got to give him 1 out of 1,000, right? I mean,
And do they have catnip?
it's actually from catsia, which was an Asian fish sauce, and they brought it to America, and they didn't think fish would work in the sauce.
Thank you,
so
Cliff Clavin.
They substituted tomatoes.
Guess
Sam, how you doing?
the corn syrup and the ketchup is also addictive to people too, sadly.
Well, I've noticed. I have a friend of mine's father is in. He's not even an OA. There's a stricter program. How? Which you weigh your food at the table.
That's right.
I've seen him.
Not till I moved to LA have I seen so many.
And I've seen this.
crazy ways
He's
to eat.
one of the most prominent doctors in LA. He literally, I've seen him pound his food into with his fist, to make sure it all weighs as much as he can get into that scale as possible.
It makes no sense. Volume does not equal weight.
And he does this in
That's crazy.
Really? Are we having a problem here, Reef?
No, I'm just listening to him.
It's fascinating.
So are you with me here? There's no wagon with food.
Yes.
You can't have that.
No.
And they just sell us out left and right, like you said, Doctor, that they just love to manipulate. It's just like the 1,000 chemicals that were in cigarettes. Mm-hmm. There's so much that we don't read that's in our food. And we're not, like I said before, species specific. We're really made for fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, and avocados
and meat. You're going to disagree with me.
We're going to,
but I know that as much as I hate to agree with Andrew on this, because I don't like agreeing.
Fat and meat and
meat we've been eating since the beginning of time.
No, we haven't.
Really?
We couldn't. We couldn't track down. We weren't fit enough to, maybe we binge ate meat.
The only people that weren't fit enough to eat the meat were the ones who were eating the fruits and vegetables.
Right, because they couldn't catch up.
They couldn't get meat.
I mean, we need protein.
If you're really slow,
if you look at enough protein, by the way. If you read this book.
What about the Inuit? The Inuit, right? They for years they ate nothing but seals and moose, and then they got fruit and vegetable and rotted their teeth. And
so it's the package around the protein.
Since you left,
that's not
can I ask you? So since you left OA 10 years ago, how have you found it?
How have I found living? A lot more peaceful, less exaggerated weight gain and weight loss are pretty much balanced out. I don't beat myself up anymore. A lot of what I saw in OA, and really I love most of the people I've ever met in OA, but there's so much neurosis around, am I abstinent, am I not, and then building to a point where you go, screw it, I'm going to eat until I gain the weight back, till I feel like I've earned my way into figuring out another diet or abstinence for myself. So that's unfortunately, that mental system is epidemic in our world. And it's like, I'm going to lose the weight, and then I'm going to eat till I gain more than I lost, and then I'm going to try and figure out another thing that's going to work for me, where there's nothing to get on, and the only thing that really works for you is leaving your fat behind.
See, I have an issue with all this stuff.
So do I, actually.
Well, but let me give you mine first. And one is that I think it was about 10 years ago, the federal government changed the definition of obesity.
Now it's 10 pounds extra.
Yeah, I mean now most people are obese,
yeah.
and they totally changed the scale. So it's like this whole thing that there's this obesity epidemic. I don't completely buy it, except for maybe in Houston and
if we're comparing it with Japan,
New Orleans.
If we're comparing ourselves with Asians,
Asians,
if you travel the country and you look around an airport and you see the American,
I said, Houston. In New Orleans.
The American with the pot belly hanging over the, I don't know how guys do this, the gut over the belt.
Yeah, with the polo shirt. With the polo shirt.
Yeah, and I don't know how it feels.
And we all know who we're talking about. You see those guys with the polo shirts tucked in.
So uncomfortable. The khaki pants with the blue shirt.
But God bless them. There's two.
I look at pictures of my relatives and I can see the body types going way back. And what about these identical twin studies where they get separated at birth, they come back 40 years later, they meet, they have the same weight, their eyesight is the same, they smoke the same brand of cigarettes. It's crazy stuff like that.
We're going to get back to this. We do have to take a break. The number here is 877-8830-830. That's 877-8830-830. We still have tickets to give away. And what's the trivia question?
The trivia question is, and this is the actual trivia question, who of our famous past guests' favorite artist was Barbra Streisand? That's it.
Clean Radio.